Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel called Zuzanareacts, where I learn all things Bharat with your help, and I just share my Slovak Central European point of view. And today is a part 3 of the billionaire guy runway show interview, which has been truly fascinating. So I cannot wait to continue watching that together with you. But before we jump into part 3,
please like this video and click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Thank you so much for your support.
Okay, I say let's hit it. We left it off when he was talking about how India is that 1% is going to live the rest of the population in terms of the entrepreneurship and bringing the country up. So I'm very curious what's next. Let's continue.
So the guys at the top actually need to then stay back in India and then lift the rest of the country.
You need entrepreneurs, you need successful companies in order to generate business and work for everyone.
We've had a lot of political content on the show lately. And the political commentators said that the next time you have entrepreneurs on the show, ask them about the ease of doing business in India. Do you find it easy to do business in India?
It's very easy.
Very easy.
The country is very open.
I brought this up because the political commentator said that that's the representation of the government then. And Indians usually pick a side. Indians are either pro-Modi or anti-Modi. Okay. You're a complete neutral. Like you're from Belgium.
Yeah.
And you still find it easy to do business in our country?
It's easier than in the US. Americans are very, very picky. If your product is not perfect, beautiful, pixel perfect, Americans won't buy it. No. In India, even if your product is not perfect, they will figure a way to use it.
No, and ease of doing business means as a business owner, all the back-end stuff.
I think it's easy.
You didn't find any difficult?
You have to adapt yourself to the people, but I don't think it's too difficult.
Has there been a country where you found it very difficult as a business owner?
In China, we failed. I tried. I invested $1 million in China. We created a joint venture with a large company. We failed, completely failed. Here, it's super easy.
When was this China phase? Do you notice the Modi government? Like, do you follow what they are doing in the country?
Yes.
From a geopolitical perspective in China, at least the narrative we get in India is that it's a very dictatorship-oriented culture. And that government wants to control everything that Chinese citizens see, the way Chinese citizens think. And when I meet Chinese people, it's a little mixed. Some of them who have lived abroad are very Indian in some ways. They're very friendly. They like India, etc. Sometimes abroad, when I meet some Chinese people, I feel like they're a little bit in their own zone. They're a little bit away. They don't want to connect, not with Indians, just with anyone. They're a little bit in their own world.
I don't know. I don't have experience because I only went a few days in China. So I don't have that much experience. We have a company in Hong Kong, but Hong Kong is so much different than China that it's difficult to...
For now.
Yeah.
It's probably going to become a part.
We'll see.
But the company's still there in Hong Kong?
Yes. Yeah, we have 250 people there.
Do you visit Hong Kong?
I went a few days, yes.
You like Hong Kong?
Mixed feeling.
Why?
It's different mindset. It's very expat, guys. It's a lot about money. I'm not at all about money. In the discussions, who owns what, and so it's not my style.
You mean people show off?
People show off. Your status is your salary, and that kind of things, which some people like, but it's not my style.
Okay. But you visited China as well?
Yes.
You enjoyed it, like being in the country?
Yeah, it's always good to visit the country.
What did you like about China?
I don't think I could say I visited because I went a few days. It was only to work with the company, so
it's only the professional experience you got.
But they are super good hosts. I mean, they make you feel like. And China is a little bit like India. For instance, they don't respect contracts, but they respect the relationship you have. So the first thing they do is not to write a contract like we Europeans do, but it's to build a strong relationship between the supplier and the customer. And usually they succeed because of the relationship between people rather than contracts. And so I've noticed that they were very good at hosting us, welcoming us, working together for that purpose.
They took you out for a drink?
Yes, a lot.
You have a story?
I'm a very good drinker, so they tried to beat me, but it was the other way around. Belgians are very good in beers. But no, I don't drink anymore. So
how did they get when they were drunk?
Like everyone else.
Fun.
Yes.
Jokes.
Yes.
But how did you communicate with them?
The people I was working with were speaking English.
So what did they say to you? Like,
no, nothing special.
Does work conversation come up when you're drunk?
Yes, yes.
Like you'll talk about the contract even over a drink.
Yes.
And y'all can be very...
but maybe it's my fault, because I always speak about work. So maybe it's me. I don't know if it was them or me, but yes.
You speak about work even when you're drunk?
I think about... I am not drinking anymore. I don't drink since a few years because I have liver disease. If I drink, I can die.
You got fatty liver?
I have even more cirrhosis.
You have cirrhosis?
Yes, because I drank too much, and so I cannot drink anymore since a few years, which is okay. I like this. Yeah.
But you drank a lot when you were younger?
Yeah, that's why I have cirrhosis.
Why did you drink when you were younger?
In Belgium, it's part of the culture. Students drink a lot of beers.
How much did you drink?
Too much.
Like, say if it was a Saturday night.
I don't know. It was during the week.
During the week?
Yes. So it was a student bar, which is owned by the student, and open every week. And during the weekend, you come back to your parents, so you don't drink. But during the week, you drink the whole week.
Every day?
Every day, yeah.
How much every day?
30, 40 beers. Way too much, to the point where you get the cirrhosis.
Oh, man. How does cirrhosis feel?
It doesn't feel anything. So the liver is the only organ in the body that is where it can regenerate itself, except when you get to the level of cirrhosis. And also it's insensitive. So you don't feel anything. If it has issue in the liver, you will never feel anything. If you discover it, it's by luck. And I was very fortunate to had other issues. They made some scans. They discovered that earlier in the process of the cirrhosis. So I can live with that without issue for a long time. But I cannot do it at all.
How did you feel when you found out?
I thought I would die. So because the process after it's months of examination, and they told me exactly. So when you look at cirrhosis in the web, you are like, it's horrible. Like you have 10 years to live or that kind of things. But they explained me at the end that I was of the very beginning. So I will just live like that my whole life without issue, but I cannot transgress.
Other than China, which place have you found challenging to expand into?
I don't have a good answer because we pretty much succeeded every country we opened. The only time where we failed, it was not about the country, it was about the person, because we picked the wrong manager. So one thing I do is that we never recruit manager. Director or manager, we never recruit that. The only way to become a team leader to do is to be the best of a team. And so we make them grow. And one time it was to open in New York. I recruited an external director. He has a good experience. On the resume, he was perfect. He built 2 startups that grew very big. He's Belgian from New York, so he could understand us, but he developed business in New York. So I'm sure the guy is great, but it didn't work for us. It didn't work for us because it was good, but it was not what we are. It was not aligned with the way we manage our business. So it didn't work. All the other times, I always created a new country with an employee who had probably no experience of building companies and so on, but he was a good employee to do. And so we send him somewhere and it always worked. Sometimes it takes 2 years, sometimes 4 years. So the rhythm is a little bit different. But if you pick someone who is good at the job, even though he's not a director, even though he never created a company, it's a good bet.
I want to go a little bit deeper into this international expansion thing. Okay. So now, say I'm an Indian company and you just need to answer this from your own life's learnings. You need to talk from Odoo's learnings. Which was the first company outside of Belgium you expanded to?
After Belgium, India.
India was the first company?
Yes. But not to sell in India. It's because I needed developers.
Okay, let me reframe this question. My point is, when you're looking at a new region to expand into for your business.
For sales, yes.
For sales, okay? You want to expand in that country. Now, I am sure at Odoo, your management and you have a set of protocols that when you go to that country, you'll have to follow these same cultural rules. But then something will change in the way you operate there. Something might change.
Yeah.
So I want to know about that something. What is the constant stuff? What is the variable stuff?
So the way we work is constant. The way we deliver the service, we have a methodology to implement a customer, to train him, to import his data, same. The way we sell, which is very product focused, we ask the customer what are their pain points and we create demonstration based on the pain, is the same. The only difference is local, is how you interact with people, how you party together, or you do your salary structure, that kind of things. But the rest, the majority of of procedures to open a new country are the same for every country. Marketing is basically the same with some variants. So in our marketing, we have a strong, we do events a lot. Like we do 500 events, physical events, 500 per year, so 2 per day, more or less. We do that in every country. It works in every countries, not with the same level of success. In India, Mexico, very successful. US, we have low attendance, but high quality people. So it's still the same approach. Then you have online marketing, Google Ads and so on, same in every country. We have education working because we are open source. A lot of teachers and universities use our product to teach sales, CRM, accounting, because it's free. So we work a lot with schools and teachers and university. That works in every country. So 90% of the marketing is the same, but there are some slight difference. Like I explained, in order to develop the events, we do LinkedIn ads, email ads, Facebook ads, mass mailing, and so on. Worked well. For India, I had to introduce WhatsApp in order to remind attendees that the event is tomorrow or in 1 hour. So there are slight difference, but it's 10% difference.
Okay, your structure effectively remains the same.
Yes,
like your protocols, your strategies.
And even for some of my online marketing, it's even globalized. It's not per country; it's one person that does all the country for all the ads.
Okay. What is Africa like to work in and to expand into?
That is difficult. In India, I feel like I could build an Indian company myself. It's very easy. In Africa, I wouldn't be able to, because you have to be African. You have to be, first, there is not one Africa.
Yeah.
Between the Maghreb and the South, and it's so much different that it's different.
But could you take a region like West Africa, like Nigeria, Cameroon?
We opened in Kenya, so we have an office in Kenya.
East.
Yes. And then you have to be African. The way they negotiate, the way they decide, it's so much different from what we used to do. It's slower. They have difficulties to decide. They don't decide. You do call and call and call and never decide. That's something, where if you are not African, it's difficult to do.
It's culturally a difficult place to enter.
Yes, for foreigners. Yes,
for foreigners.
Yeah, but then it's easy to enter if you look. So we opened the Kenyan office with an African guy who was in Belgium since a few years. So he came from our company. Then he went to, and it's working very well. I
would assume that's true for any country. You get a local guy to help you. That's the most important. That,
of course, that helps. But in India, I have the feeling that I understand Indians. In Africa, I have the feeling that I don't. It's so different.
What have you understood about, say, Kenyans, for example?
I don't have a lot of experience because I don't travel that much. Kenyans is great. There is less corruption than in some other countries like Congo, for instance, which is extreme, which is good in a way, very good. There are a lot of good guys and businessmen, but what I felt is that things are slower. I never understand. I always have the feeling that the customer will sign tomorrow, and he doesn't. And then I think, okay, we'll sign in 1 month. It doesn't. and I don't know if it's me who don't understand, if it's the process that is that way, but for me, it's difficult to catch.
Why do you think it's slow? No idea.
I don't know. I don't have that much experience. It's the way they are.
So some questions are not answered yet.
Yeah, I don't have the questions to everything.
But are you actively looking at African markets as a place to expand?
Yeah, we are growing. The good news is it's just that it's not my area. I have other people who do it. And because I'm not involved in sales in Africa, I let them do, and I don't even watch out what they do.
Could you name some countries that the team is looking into?
No, that's a funny thing. If you ask me what are the future countries where we will open for Odoo, because last year we opened 5 countries, I think, I cannot answer. Because I'm not targeting country. I'm searching for people. And the only way for me to open a country is to find the right guy. And if I found it, he already created something. So because we work that way, I would say in another way, our international expansion is not about strategy. It's about opportunism. We have to find the opportunity of someone, and then we will create a company for him.
Fair. You've been almost bankrupt at some points in your life?
Yeah, a few years, yes.
How did that feel?
On the moment, you just walk and walk and walk 16 hours a week. It's stress. But I do believe that if Odoo is so good today, it's because of that period. It forces you to be efficient, to not spend money stupidly. It forces you to be very, very good in order to survive. It creates at the end a company that is much better than result. As opposed to a VC-backed company who get a lot of money, they will burn. They didn't learn to make it in an efficient way.
That's what so many Indian startups are learning, that try having a bootstrap phase for as long as possible. It sets that bootstrapping culture in the company.
Yeah, and that makes the company super efficient. And you know what? So I've been close to bankruptcy for a few years, to the point of I paid salaries sometimes a few days late, because I just didn't have the money. When things get better, when I started to have a lot of cash, it was difficult for me at that time, because I had to find the motivation elsewhere. Before that, nobody was thinking about what is the purpose, what should we do. We were just all trying to survive, serve client, get money, serve client. We were so much focused on surviving that we were not thinking. And then from 1 month or 1 year to another at Odoo, things started to be super good. We get a lot of cash, millions. And then at that point we were like, okay, now we have to find a new source of motivation. And it was a difficult moment for us to remotivate the team, because now we had to work for something different than surviving.
How did you motivate?
Then it's the purpose of the product, serving our clients, making great products. But it was a switch of mindset that we had to operate.
This was that phase where you switched into product?
Yes. This phase took 1 or 2 years in order to be very cash flow positive, but it's that phase, yes. From a service company to a product company.
Are you like a celebrity in Belgium?
But I think some people knows me.
Do you get fans coming up to you and saying that I respect what you've done? And
yes. That's every businessman of a large company have that, I think.
How do you feel about that?
It's always good. I mean, what do you think when people say that they like your show? It's always good.
I think with YouTube, the thing is you're putting so much of your personality and mind out there that when people are coming up to you, they really know things about you. So it's a little different. You feel gratitude, but I think I've reached a point in my life where I feel a little scared also when people
It's too much, maybe.
Yeah, I never thought I'll ever say that, but it's become that.
Yeah, I'm probably way less famous than you, even in Belgium. So I don't get to that level yet.
Do your kids know how big you are, like in business?
Yeah, but I think most people don't understand. I mean, what is the value of the company today is 4.5 billion. What is 4.5 billions of euro? Nobody knows. It's just numbers. It seems to be a lot, but what does it mean? It's difficult to relate to that kind of numbers.
The thought of selling your business has never crossed your head.
No. For sure, I will never sell, and I will never go public neither. I don't want to be a public company.
Because you don't want that. You like how you're working right now.
The reason is that public companies tend to refocus on the short term. You have to publish earning calls with the sales number. And if the numbers are good, everyone is happy, they buy the shares. If numbers are bad, people are not happy and your employees are frustrated because they have shares and it's bad. So public companies have a tendency to focus on the short term, to sales of the month or the quarter and so on. I don't want that. The success of Odoo is always to build for the long term. And I don't want a single employee to look for the short term or the sales number of the quarter. One. The other thing is I'm so much focused on productivity and efficiency. When you get public, you need extra layers of reporting, transparency, and things like that. So second reason, I don't want that. I want to be super efficient, decide right away instead of asking the board of directors. And third, I like open and transparent communication. I just said the company was 4.5 billion of euro. If I was a public company, I could go to jail because I disclosed information not before the earning calls.
Like, I think
if I would have sent that to maybe not publicly ugly, but to some employees, I could go to jail. I don't want that. I want to be able to say whatever I want to inform my employees and be transparent.
Why do you think founders choose to go public?
I think a lot of them don't understand. It's just a way to get cash. But to understand the consequence of that, most of them don't catch it really. I don't think it's bad. I think as a source of cash, public is quite good. It's efficient, but it comes with some drawbacks. Like you have to have extra layers of reporting complexity. You cannot disclose information, and it will refocus the mindset to the short term. For some companies, it's good. Some companies need to focus on the short term, but it's not us.
I would go as far as saying, and I might be totally wrong while saying this, but I think there's a bit of a glamour factor also.
Yeah,
about going public.
It's a way of being recognized, but it's very short term. Like the moment you get public, everyone praise you, you get a lot of praise, and then it goes back to reality after.
Deal with the devil.
Yeah.
Like you'll get the fame, articles will be published.
It's not the devil because it's not a big deal, but I'm extreme in everything I do. For me, if I lose 1% of productivity, it's bad. I wouldn't want that for Odoo. But it's not the devil. It's
What's the best career advice you ever got in your life from someone?
Just do it.
It's
true because a lot of people are thinking, waiting for the good idea, deciding how we should do it. Sometimes it's just about move on.
True.
Get the job done first.
Get the job, and maybe it works, maybe it won't work, but at least you move forward.
And what's the worst advice you ever got?
Advice? I don't know. Open a... no, I didn't get bad advice. I didn't follow advice. I don't have mentors and everything. I was working in the Odoo office, which is a farm. In a farm, quite alone, not meeting a lot of people, so I didn't get a lot of feedback.
I'm going to give you a compliment again. Same compliment. You're a crazy guy. Like, I've not met anyone like you on the show.
No, I think a lot of people who bootstrap do that. You start from where you are and your small things. And
no, I don't just mean your professional side. Even the guy you are, it's very different, man. Like, I've not seen this on the show, and I've spoken to like 600 people.
Okay.
Like, I've not met someone who's done so much materially, but is still so humble. Like, I still feel you're like a coder on the inside. You're still...
I am. That's what I love. Huh? I am a coder.
But then that affects a lot of how you look at life. Like not someone else, many other people in your position who would have accomplished what you've accomplished, at this point either would have chosen to sell it off and just relax, or, live a more...
Yeah, but will they be happy by doing that?
I think different people have different life stories.
Yeah. For me, there is nothing better that I can do than Odoo. It's the best I can do is to continue improving the software for companies. I feel like I don't see what I can do better than that. For the society, I mean. Are
you changing as a person as you age? Not as a professional. As a human being, are you changing?
I become better. No, I think I become slower also because of the age. But I think the vision and what I wanted to do has always been the same. Not at the very beginning, but after a few years, it has been there. How
do you look at Silicon Valley and San Francisco generally? Is it always going to be the center of tech in the world? Or
yes, they have a big advance. Not for the reason we think. The main reason is the cash. They have so many VCs or old ex-Google employees who have plenty of millions to invest that basically any idea can live there. And when all the ideas can live, some of them will be good and will make a good company.
Do you visit?
I have an office in San Francisco, yes. And before our office was in Silicon Valley, and I lived 3 years there.
You lived 3 years?
With the family, yes.
Can you talk to me more right now? You're okay to talk to me,
yes.
Right? Are you getting bored?
No, that's
you're enjoying this.
Do I feel bored?
No, I want to stretch the conversation more. I want to get to know more.
Let's go.
You don't mind me asking all these questions, right? Like all this time we're taking.
Go for it.
How are you feeling, by the way, in this?
I enjoy the it's good. We have a good conversation and it's fun.
Because you're getting to think?
Yes, and for me, it's a different thing than what I used to do, so it's good.
Okay. Usually people like yourself who come on the show, it's a thought exercise for them because the questions go like pretty intense. So especially entrepreneurs enjoy being on this show because they get to think much more, they get to reflect. I don't know if you're in that zone.
I don't need to think that much because I know very well my subject. So it's things I'm used to talk about. So.
What value is this conversation adding to you? Not Odo, just you.
I'm surprised that you find that the discussion is so good for you, that you get a lot of value from it. For me, it's just normal.
Okay. But you are adding a lot of value.
Yeah, but that's what I'm surprised, and it's good to hear.
I'm sure this one's going to get international viewers as well because you've not just spoken to the Indian audiences. You've spoken to like a lot of people want to expand the businesses in India.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to. My solution to all of them when I've been asked this question abroad is, I think you need to tie up with an Indian partner. Like Indians have that team mentality also. Like as we value.
It's very easy to find a co-founder in India.
So I mean that was my advice until today's podcast. Now I'll just send them this podcast and look at this guy's story. Maybe before we talk about America, one small question about India. For the other foreigner founders, founders from other countries who want to expand in this country, what's your advice to them?
I think it's just do it. Just book a flight ticket and come there a few weeks, discuss with people, meet people, and Indians are very entrepreneur mindset. So you will find good relationship that you can start using and developing. Just a matter of what I did is that just go to India. Once you are there, things naturally develop. And
this whole angle about the population being really big, it's a very legitimate reason to be here, right? Like because the market size is that big. And it's growing. It's 8% growth of GDP per year. It's big. Huh? As in a population that's becoming richer, a big population that's becoming richer. That's the business logic about being here, right? Because at the end of the day, business has to be a little ruthless and mathematical. For me, the initial reason I went to India is that I was growing very fast in Belgium. I was a small company, like 20 employees when I went to India. And when you grow fast, I was signing projects that was, the revenue of the project was bigger than my turnover the preceding year. So bigger project, more than my turnover. But once you do that, you quickly need to recruit and set up the team to deliver the client. And the problem I faced in Belgium, if I had 20 developers. If I needed 20 more, it was like 6 to 9 months to get them. But I just signed a client, so I needed it right away. So it's not so much about the cost of the developers. It was that I needed to grow faster. And so I had this before because at the end I wanted to recruit in Belgium. So I recruited Indians so that I have more time to catch up with Belgians. They were sitting in India? Yes. How did you come to know that India has this developer excess? Oh, everyone knows that. Everyone in the tech world knows. Yes. That if it's the development center of the world. Everyone knows that. Like you've heard of Infosys and TCS, of course. Yeah, of course. But had you heard of them before you came to India? Yes, of course. And how did you look at Infosys and TCS? I never worked with them, so I don't know. But what did you hear? But TCS is 400,000 people. Can you imagine 400,000 developers? It's huge. I saw you reading a book about the Tata Group. Yeah, right? I just started. I'm page 20 or something. Why are you reading that? I read a lot of books. But specifically the Tata Group book you're reading because you're in India? Yes, but I think I would have read it before. No, just because it's one of the books I'm reading now. Okay. Coming back to America. 3 years in Silicon Valley? You lived there? Yes. Tell me everything, man. Like, what was your life like? What were the conversations like? Did you actually get a view of the future? Did you have conversations about AI back then? Which year is this in? It was 2011. 7 or 8 years ago. So 2015. Yes. Around that time. Yes. Was there talk about Sam Altman, OpenAI, all this even back then? No, it was not. Nobody was talking about AI at the time. You enjoyed your time in America? Yes, very much. I prefer India because of the experience. It's so much. San Francisco is very much like Belgium. It looks like a European city. So it's the closest you can get from a European city in America, I would say. And India is so much different that I like because of the experience. I'm just going to make one point. I've been to San Francisco and I'm so happy he said that because everyone is crazy in the US about San Francisco. And I was very disappointed because of the way it looked, because it reminded me of European city. And I'm like, well, I came to America to see something different. So it's good. It's just like mental note to myself. In the US, it's very different from here. The American has a totally different approach to purchasing a software. In India, I told you it starts with the price. How much does it cost? And then we look at the software if it's good or not. How do you sell to an American? An American, you have to make him dream. He wants something beautiful, super clean. He wants to dream. It's emotional. And it has to be perfect.
An Indian, if it's not perfect, he will find a way to use the product. He will always succeed to use the product.
In India, it's just the price point as the seller.
And if it's not perfect, he knows he can use it. It's okay. There is a small bug there. You will just turn it around and use it differently. And for them, it's normal. In America, it has to be very good, super clean. They are so used to have very mature software on their market that they are used to the perfect everything. And so for me, it took like 2-3 years to make the product up to the standards of what an American expects.
Damn.
That's why I relocated there, because I had to understand what exactly that. But once you get there, then it gets easy because they are huge consumers. They even buy everything on credit, so they can put a lot of money once they like the product, and very quickly.
The way you learned about WhatsApp marketing in India and then took it to the world, I'm sure going to America forced you to become a way better product, and then you took that way better product
my challenge for the America was more the design. That all design was not on par with the standard of Americans. At the time. No, it's very good, better than the best. But at the time, our product was super powerful, but design was not as clean as what an American expects. So we had to fix that in order to start the American business. Now it's our #1 country in terms of revenue.
And this is because of the feedback loops in America. You spoke to customers, they said that
you meet customers and you spend time trying to sell. It's a good thing to try to sell for yourself. Go on the phone, doing demos with customers, check how they react, and then you adapt based on this feedback.
What else? Life in America?
For me, it was very much like in Europe. It's good life. I've always seen America like a big casino. Like if everything is good, it's a big bet. If you're good in your life financially, so if you have a good job, good revenues, everything's perfect. It's dream of everything. You have a good education. But if one thing fails, it could be a nightmare. If you lose your job and you get sick, you can quickly get homeless. If you don't have the revenue, it's very, very difficult. Because especially in San Francisco, it's very hard. When I was in San Francisco, a lot of people had 2 or 3 different jobs because one job was not enough to sustain the family, which is hard. It's very hard. So when you are not in the good classes, it's very difficult. For instance, something that always surprised me is that a lot of Indians want to go to America. And what I've noticed in San Francisco is a lot of Indians who are top developers here. So they have very good salary for Indians, like 1 or 2 lakhs in India, where you are a king. When you have 2 lakhs salary in India, you can have a very good life. You have your own driver, your own cleaners, a few people working for you. And then they go to America. They have a higher salary, but the salary is very low compared to the housing market, the healthcare market, education market. That actually their life is lower.
Life quality
is lower. That's something surprised me because I said, you were the king there and you go there and you are lower.
It was my big battle when I was in engineering college to not give the GRE and go to America because society was looking down upon me for it in India. Yeah. Because there's societal pressure that, hey, you know what? You're probably just not ambitious enough. Why do you want to live in this country? But it was my argument that I would rather be a king here than go there and be one of the crowd.
Yeah, that's a good one. And so in America, if you are good, you have a good job, everything's great. But if you get sick or if you lose your apartment or something, it can quickly be very difficult because healthcare is super expensive. Education is super expensive. Housing is very expensive. So you need to, but if you have that, it's perfect dream.
Dream life.
But if you don't, and everything is related. For instance, your healthcare insurance is related to your work contract. So if you lose your work contract, you lose your healthcare insurance. And if you get sick in between 2 jobs, then you have to pay everything cash, and it's basically impossible. It can quickly be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
One kind of treatment, if you have like a fracture of your arm.
Yeah, but my kid had a small issue. He had temperature or something. In Europe, when you have that, you go to hospital and you pay maybe €20, barely nothing, because we have social security
for a fever.
So we did like good Europeans. We went to the hospital to check if the kids doesn't have something. He get an ice cream to the standard. So they gave him an ice cream. They checked temperature of the thing, a few medicines. Came back. I think we went there 30 minutes. It costed us $2,100.
Whoa!
It was €20 in Europe. And so if you are rich, no problem. If you have an insurance, we didn't have an insurance because we were Europeans. If you have an insurance, that's okay. But if it happens, and that's a very small thing. So imagine a real accident. If it happens at a bad time, it could be a life-changing moment.
Which actually happens to people.
It happened.
Okay, I am going to stop it here. Fascinating. I really like, I don't know how you guys feel about it. Please do let me know how much you're enjoying this podcast. I'm actually very much enjoying that. Yeah, so it was interesting when he said like America is pretty much the same as Europe. I could not agree. I couldn't disagree more. I never really lived in the US, but I think he's talking from the point of view of living in kind of the closest to get to European city. I always had like when I went there, and I only went there for a couple of weeks to do the whole California thing. It felt, you know, the fact that, so here, for example, taxes are included in the price of the product. Over there, when you're shopping, you never truly know what the value of your shopping is until you reach a cashier, which I find just super odd. Like they you know, just don't put it in that way. I also find them very cliquey. Like you have to like people like mingle in circles. Yeah, I found it, at least California, in a way superficial, but that's just my experience, and I'm not saying I live there. So I actually don't think that people in Europe are that superficial. I think like if anything, we would laugh at the Americans for, let's say, how they speak and, you know, like the material things that they're interested in. So I actually find them quite very, very different mentality, to be honest. So, and what he was talking about with America, yeah, I've heard the same from a friend of mine who worked also in the US, but also in London with me. And she said that, you know, like the healthcare is super good. Like it's really, really amazing in comparison to, let's say, the NHS that we have. And NHS in the UK is not great. Let's put it that way. And yeah, and I do agree. Like when you are, I guess, and I always wonder how these people make so much money in America, because everything really costs a lot. Like I have imagined, so I was meeting my friend in San Diego, and we were driving, and we kind of like confused the location. So I went somewhere else, and it was like what they call, it wasn't wallet parking. It was like, just like, you know, you have RAM and you get, so we were just trying to turn around, and just until we realized that that's not really best place for us to park there. And I think it was like a $30 we paid just to get in and out. That really hurt, because I felt like, at least I've been there maybe now 10 years ago. I felt like parking was incredibly expensive. I was shocked. I was literally shocked. I didn't expect that parking would be this much expensive in the US. But yeah, but it's just very, I don't know. To me, it feels very, very foreign as a mentality, and you can. So if it costs this much just for parking, and I know what I was trying to say with the hospitals, that yeah, here you don't pay that much, but you still do pay a lot. And I could believe what he was saying, that, you know, when you just lose a job, when you get sick, you're kind of out. So this is where I think Europe is better, because we do have, and most of the countries, I think all the countries have some sort of form of social security, that you're not going to end up in the streets. And I've seen like a lot of homeless people in LA, and it's kind of like I call it America a hardcore capitalistic society. I think this is why they have to be so very individually driven, very shrewd, because you're really, and the question is, how good is that for you as a human being in terms of the philosophy? Like you're really like literally fighting for yourself every single day. Like you don't get to relax. I don't think not even animals do that, you know. But it's just very, yeah. I don't know. I personally couldn't imagine myself living there, maybe for a year or two, just to have the full-on experience somewhere in like Laguna Beach, California, where it's very pretty. But then you have to be a millionaire to be able to afford it. Like there's hands down no other way. And then obviously there are other areas. So out of everything that I've seen, and I've been around LA, San Diego, Vegas, San Francisco, we got done the whole one trip. And for me, the Laguna Beach stood out the best. It was the nicest. It's very expensive, but it felt like you're somewhere in Hawaii with like really nice palm trees. Like they have a very cute coastal line. I loved it. Yeah, I'm not a millionaire. So going back to the video, what I wanted to mention, and I wanted to mention in another parts of the video, is just like how you get good at business, right? And that came as the realization, because I've done a few now career changes, like one within the same kind of industry, but then I was just trying to get somewhere else where I'm passionate about. But what I think is important is that you pick your niche and you just become really the best at it. Like if you're a developer, you become the best developer. Like what he's a developer, he developed his product and he keeps on being passionate about it. And I wish I had known that when I was younger. So it's I feel like, I'm not saying like there are other success stories, but at least in the West, the expertise is really appreciated. So if you are, like if you evolve yourself in one direction, it's always helpful to know that direction as early as possible. Then just like you hone in on that experience, which makes you really, really good. And I believe personally that this is what makes people successful, that they don't just jump around. Yeah, there was something else. Yeah, he was talking about public and companies going public. It was very interesting. I never heard this before, but it's definitely enlightening, and I feel like it can help anyone. But at the same time, like if you focus on short term, now when you're a startup, and I worked on a startup, I was setting up a department, and the thing is, it's just such a different way of working. And you when you're in startup, it's all about survival. You can have passion, purpose, whatever you want. I don't think it personally really matters that much, because as I would hope a lot of you would be some entrepreneurially minded, you have to survive. That's it. And then you have to put in as many hours as you need to. So it's interesting that he talks about that. Basically, the companies that go public, they are constantly pressed on the short-term goals, and a lot of issues in the companies that I personally have seen are from the fact that we are focusing on the short-term goals. But let's say when you're a startup or you're a scale-up, you do need to focus on the short-term goals. But I think what is tricky to achieve, from my experience, is the balance of goals that are being short-term and long-term. And then the added layer of what he talks about, the people. Like you have to be a strong enough manager and a person that understands business. That like if you're building something long-term and you need to also survive, how do you combine that? Because if you do and you are able to strike that balance, I believe people are going to be genuinely successful. And I feel like we're really long on this one video, so I'm going to close this here. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me through the part 3 of the video. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. And yeah, and I hope to see you in the part 4. Until then, please do take care. I'm sending so much love. Bye-bye.